The mockery begins. The academy ground was filled with noise. Hundreds of alien cadets gathered to watch the daily training. Some were tall, some had scales, some had wings. They all carried strength and pride. In the middle of them stood two small alien twins, weak and thin. The twins were different. Their bodies looked fragile, their eyes filled with fear. Every time they tried to lift the heavy training staff, their hands shook. They fell again and again on the hard ground. Laughter exploded around them. "Look at them," one cadet shouted. "They cannot even hold a stick." Another laughed. Some clapped their hands, some stamped their feet. The sound of mockery echoed like thunder. The twins lowered their heads, but they did not run away. Instructor watched with no mercy. He let the crowd laugh. He believed the weak must be crushed so the strong could shine. "You are wasting our time," he said coldly. The twins only nodded in silence. Their hearts burned, but no one could see it. Day after day, the same thing happened. The twins were called useless, hopeless, weak. Cadets pushed them, tripped them, laughed at their tears. Sometimes food was stolen from their trays. Sometimes their beds were filled with dirt as a cruel joke. Still they endured. Late at night, when all cadets left, the twins sat alone in the empty hall. They whispered to each other, "Maybe we should give up," one said. "No, we promised Mother we will never quit," the other replied. Their voices trembled, but they kept hope alive. What they did not know was someone else was listening. A man stood quietly in the shadow of the hall. He wore old gray clothes, carried a mop and bucket. He was the human janitor. Everyone ignored him in the academy. To them, he was just the cleaner, invisible and unimportant. But tonight, his eyes stayed fixed on the twins. He watched them cry softly. He saw the pain in their faces. He saw their hands still holding the broken staff, refusing to drop it. His chest tightened, memories flashing in his mind. Memories of other soldiers, young and weak, who were once laughed at. Memories of war, of fire, of battles no cadet in this academy would ever imagine. The janitor slowly turned away. He whispered to himself, "They don't know what they carry inside, but I can see it." His footsteps were silent as he moved deeper into the hall, but he stopped for a moment, looking back, his eyes sharp, his face hidden in shadow. The next day the twins faced the ground again. Mockery came louder. Cadets made animal noises, called them names, some even placed bets. "They won't last a week," a tall reptilian said. "3 days at best," another shouted. Laughter shook the air. But the janitor was there, sweeping the floor near the corner. No one noticed him. No one cared. He paused for a second. His broom rested on the floor, his eyes never leaving the twins. And in that moment, the smallest spark of something unknown appeared. Not in the crowd, not in the cadets, but inside the weak twins themselves. A fire that refused to die. The janitor smiled faintly. It was the first time in years he felt that spark again. He knew the world was about to change, not because of power, not because of strength, but because of belief. A belief no one else could see. And so the laughter continued. The crowd mocked louder. The instructor shook his head in disgust. The twins fell again and again, but somewhere in the shadows a human janitor made a choice that would change their fate forever. The galaxy had no idea. This was only the beginning. And soon, the laughter would turn to silence, and silence would turn to awe. The silent offer, the academy training yard, grew quiet after sunset. The laughter of the day still echoed in the minds of the alien twins. Their bodies ached. Bruises covered their arms, but they refused to sleep. Instead, they sat in the empty hall, staring at the wooden staff broken in half. The silence was heavy. The stars outside glowed through the glass ceiling. The twins whispered to each other. "Why are we here if no one believes in us?" one said. The other placed a hand on his brother's shoulder. "We must believe in ourselves even if no one else does." From the far corner of the hall came the sound of a bucket rolling. The twins turned quickly. A figure stepped forward, his boots echoing on the floor. It was the human janitor. His mop leaned against the wall, his face hidden under the dim light. "You two are louder than you think," he said in a calm voice. The twins froze. They had never spoken to him before. To them, he was just a cleaner, someone who didn't belong in their world. "Leave us alone," one twin whispered. But the janitor only stepped closer, his eyes sharp but strangely gentle. "You want them to stop laughing at you," he said slowly. "Then stop crying where they can't see and start fighting where they can't stop you." The twins exchanged nervous glances. "You don't understand," one said bitterly. "We are weak. They are strong. Nothing can change that." The janitor knelt in front of them. His hands touched the broken staff. In a single motion, he snapped the other half perfectly clean. His strength shocked them. "Strength is not only in muscle," he whispered. "Strength is in knowing how to stand when everyone expects you to fall." The twins stared at him, their minds filled with doubt. "But who are you to teach us?" one asked. "You are only a janitor." For a moment, silence filled the hall. Then the janitor did something unexpected. He picked up 2 small stones from the ground. With a flick of his wrist, he threw them across the hall. The stones hit 2 buttons on the far wall. Lights flickered on instantly. The twins gasped, their mouths open. "Janitor's clean," he said softly. "But I was something else before this, something you cannot imagine." His voice carried weight, a shadow of battles hidden in his tone. The twins leaned forward, curious now. The janitor lowered his head and whispered, "I can train you." The words struck them harder than any insult they had ever heard. For the first time, someone was offering help. Not pity, not laughter, but help. Their hearts raced. They wanted to believe, but fear held them back. "What if we fail again?" one asked. The janitor's eyes narrowed. "Then you fail standing, not kneeling, and if you stand enough times, no one can ever make you fall again." The hall felt colder. The twins shivered, not from fear but from the strange fire rising inside them. They looked at each other. Their silent bond stronger than words. Finally, one nodded slowly. "If you truly mean it, we will try." The janitor stood tall. His figure cast a long shadow across the floor. He walked toward the exit and said, "Meet me here when the moon is high, and leave your excuses behind. You won't need them where we are going." The heavy door closed behind him. The twins sat frozen in silence, their hearts pounding. They had no idea what kind of path they had just stepped onto. But they knew one thing. Tomorrow, everything would be different. Outside the hall, the janitor walked alone under the starlight, his hands clenched into fists. His mind replayed the faces of soldiers from long ago. Faces of those he had trained. Faces of those who had died. He whispered to himself, "Not again. Not this time. They will not be left to break." The wind carried his words away, but his choice was firm. The Academy thought he was invisible. The galaxy thought he was forgotten. Yet tonight, he had chosen to step back into the fire, and deep, in the shadows of the Academy, an old secret began to awaken, one that would shake every corner of the stars. Training in the shadows, the moon rose high above the Academy. Its silver light spilled through the glass ceiling of the empty hall. The alien twins stood waiting, their hands trembling. They had no weapons, no armor, only their weak bodies and tired hearts. The heavy door creaked open. The human janitor stepped in, carrying nothing but a wooden staff. His steps were slow, yet they carried a strange power. He looked at the twins without a smile, without pity, only with eyes that measured every detail. "You came," he said quietly. The twins nodded. Fear and excitement mixed in their chests. They did not know what to expect. Was this a trap, a cruel joke, or something real? The janitor threw the staff at them. One twin caught it awkwardly, almost dropping it. "First rule," the janitor said, "don't hold it like a toy. Hold it like it is the only thing keeping you alive." He stepped forward suddenly, snatched the staff from their hands, and in a blur of movement spun it around his body. The wood cracked against the ground with speed that shocked them. His arms moved faster than their eyes could follow. "You are not weak because of your bodies," he said firmly. "You are weak because you have not learned how to fight. But tonight that changes." The twins swallowed hard, their fear turning into focus. The janitor handed the staff back and said, "Strike me." The twins hesitated. He repeated in a sharp tone, "Strike me." They swung clumsily. The janitor dodged with a step so quick it looked unreal. With one finger he tapped the twin's chest and pushed him to the floor. "Too slow," he said coldly. Again. The training began. Hour after hour they swung. They fell, they tried, they failed every time the janitor corrected them. "Your legs are weak, bend them. Your grip is soft, tighten it. Your eyes wander, focus here." His voice cut like steel, but beneath it was something else, something that pushed them to rise again and again. Sweat dripped from their faces, their arms burned, their knees shook, yet they refused to stop. The janitor's eyes softened for the first time. He whispered to himself, "Yes, this is how warriors are born." In the quiet moments between strikes, the twins dared to ask, "Who are you really?" The janitor's face turned to stone. "Not now," he said. His voice carried the weight of secrets, and they knew better than to ask again. As days turned into nights, training continued in silence. The janitor taught them balance, speed, and instinct. He blindfolded them, forced them to fight in darkness. He made them carry heavy stones until their legs screamed in pain. He taught them how to read the opponent's breath, how to see the movement before it happened. Sometimes they collapsed on the floor, their bodies trembling, tears streaming down their faces. "We can't," one whispered. The janitor knelt down, his voice low but unshakable. "You can because you must. No one else will believe in you, so believe in yourselves, and if you can't, believe in me." His words struck deep, their hearts pounded with new fire. For the first time, they felt hope turning into strength. Outside the training hall, whispers began. Other cadets noticed the twins lasting longer in drills. They stood, straighter, their movements sharper. Rumors spread. Something strange was happening. "How are they improving?" One cadet hissed. "Someone is helping them," another whispered. The instructors grew suspicious, eyes began watching from the shadows. But inside the hall, the training only grew harder. The janitor revealed skills no cadet had ever seen. When he moved, his body seemed to vanish into silence. When he struck, the air cracked with power. The twins could not understand how a janitor carried such strength. But they obeyed, they learned, they endured. One night, after brutal training, the janitor sat, quietly staring at the broken staff. The twins approached carefully. They saw scars on his arms, hidden beneath his sleeves, old wounds burned deep into his skin. The twins froze. They realized this man had lived through battles no alien dared to imagine before they could ask. He stood and said, "Tomorrow, your trial begins and the galaxy will no longer laugh." The twins shivered, not from fear, but from the strange power rising inside them. A storm was coming and they were ready to face it. The trial of fire. The Academy Square was alive with noise. Banners of many alien species hung high. Cadets filled the seats. Officers stood in the shadows. Today was the trial of fire, the test that separated warriors from the weak. The alien twins stood at the gate of the arena. Their hands shook, their hearts pounded. Crowds pointed at them. Laughter returned like thunder. "They will fall in seconds," a reptilian cadet sneered. "I bet they won't survive the first strike," another hissed. The instructor raised his hand. "Today," he announced, "the weak will be exposed, the strong will rise." His eyes fell on the twins, cold and certain of their defeat. The gate opened. The twins stepped inside the arena. The ground was marked with scars from past battles. Weapons lay scattered, blades, staffs, and shock rods. Their opponents were already waiting. 4 cadets from predator species, bigger, faster, stronger. The crowd roared. Bets were shouted. Coins exchanged hands, all against the twins, high above. The janitor leaned against a wall, his uniform dusty, his mop beside him. No one noticed him, but his eyes followed the twins with quiet fire. He whispered under his breath, "Remember what I taught you, stand when they want you to fall." The signal horn blasted. The trial began. The predator cadets rushed forward with speed. Their blades flashed. The twins ducked at the last second. Rolling aside, dust exploded around them. The crowd gasped. No one expected them to move so fast. The janitor's training echoed in their minds. Watch the breath. See the strike before it comes. The first predator swung his rod down. One twin caught it with both hands, twisting. The second twin struck from the side. The predator stumbled, roaring in rage. They landed a hit, someone shouted. The laughter faded, replaced by uneasy murmurs. But the fight was far from over. The predators came harder, teeth bared, claws flashing. The twins' bodies ached, but they endured. They moved together, backs against each other. One blocked while the other countered, their rhythm shocking the crowd. Above them, the instructor's face darkened. "Impossible," he muttered. His eyes scanned the stands, and for the first time, he noticed the janitor watching too closely. Suspicion stirred, the battle raged. Blood streaked across the twins' arms, their breaths ragged, but their eyes burned with fire. The crowd that once mocked now leaned forward in silence. Suddenly, one predator cadet grabbed a twin by the throat, lifting him high into the air. The other twin screamed and rushed, but the predator threw the first twin across the arena. His body slammed into the wall. The crowd roared with excitement. "It's over!" they shouted. The janitor's fists clenched, his eyes narrowed. He whispered harshly, "Get up, stand up now." The twin on the ground struggled, his vision blurred. Blood dripped from his lip, but deep inside he remembered the janitor's words: "If you fall, fall standing. If you stand enough times, no one can break you." He pushed against the wall. His legs trembled, but he rose again. The arena went silent. The predator cadets hesitated. Their confidence cracked, and in that single moment of doubt, the twins struck together, staff spinning, feet moving with perfect timing. They knocked one predator to the ground. The crowd gasped. Bets were lost in seconds. Suspense gripped the arena. Aliens whispered to each other. How are they doing this? Who taught them? The instructor's eyes turned back to the janitor. And in that moment, he saw something. A scar along the human's arm glowing faintly under the light. A mark only seen on soldiers of the forgotten war. The instructor's breath caught, his mind raced. Could it be him? The janitor noticed the stare. For a brief second, their eyes met, and the janitor gave a small, sharp smile as if daring the instructor to speak. In the arena, the twins stood bloody but unbroken. Their enemies weakened, their own strength burning. Brighter than ever, the trial of fire was not finished. But already the galaxy's laughter had turned into silence, and high above, the janitor's shadow stretched long across the stone wall, carrying secrets that no one was ready to hear. Victory and revelation. The arena shook with noise. The predator cadets roared in anger, their pride wounded by the alien twins. The crowd's laughter had died. Now whispers spread like fire. How are they still standing? Who gave them this strength? The twins' bodies were broken. Blood stained their uniforms, their arms trembled with every breath, but their eyes burned brighter than ever. Side by side, they faced the last two predators. The instructor's voice thundered, "End this farce!" But even his words sounded weak, as if he too no longer believed in the defeat of the twins. The predators rushed together, blades flashing under the sun. Dust and sparks filled the arena. The twins moved as one, ducking, striking, blocking. Their staffs clashed like lightning. Every move carried the echo of nights in the shadows. Every strike whispered of the janitor's lessons. The crowd gasped as one predator fell. His weapon shattered. His body pinned to the ground. Only one opponent remained. The strongest of them all, a towering beast with armored skin. His roar shook the air. He grabbed one twin and hurled him like a rag doll. The other screamed and attacked, but the beast caught the staff in midair and snapped it in two. The audience rose to their feet, breath caught in their throats. This was the moment, the end or the beginning. The twin on the ground coughed blood, his vision blurred. But then he remembered the janitor's words, "Believe in me, until you can believe in yourself." He staggered up. The crowd gasped. He picked up the broken half of the staff. His brother joined him. Together they stood, two small figures against a giant. The beast charged. The ground trembled under his steps. But the twins did not run. Instead, they waited, silent, focused, and at the last moment, they moved, just as the janitor had taught them. They used his strength against him, ducking low, striking high, twisting his own momentum. The beast stumbled, lost balance, and with a final cry, the twins struck together. The giant crashed to the ground. The arena exploded in silence. For one heartbeat, no one moved. Then the silence broke into shouts. Not laughter, not mockery, but shock and awe. The alien twins, once the weakest, the most humiliated, had won. The instructor's face turned pale. His eyes darted to the stands, where the janitor still stood, arms folded, their gazes locked. And in that instant, the truth could no longer be hidden. The instructor stepped forward. "Who trained them?" he demanded, his voice cracked with anger. The crowd turned, following his stare. All eyes landed on the human janitor. For the first time, the man who was always invisible was seen. The janitor walked slowly down the steps, each footstep echoing. Like thunder, he entered the arena, his shadow falling across the ground. The twins turned, their faces filled with gratitude. The crowd waited in silence. He looked at the predators lying defeated, then at the officers trembling in their seats. "You want to know who trained them?" His voice was calm, but it carried like a storm. He pulled up his sleeve, revealing the scar glowing faintly on his arm. Gasps spread like waves. It was the mark of the forgotten war, the mark of the human soldiers who once fought entire empires. The instructor stepped back, fear in his eyes. The janitor's gaze cut through him. "I am no janitor," he said coldly. "I am what your history tried to erase." The twins stood beside him, heads held high for the first time, their bodies still, broken but their spirits unshakable. The crowd, once full of mockery, now bowed their heads in silence. They had seen something they could not explain. Not strength of muscle, but strength of will. Not just training, but belief. The janitor placed his hands on the twins' shoulders. His voice softened. "They laughed at you, but you stood. But you, and now they will remember your names." The arena remained frozen, but somewhere deep inside the galaxy, a ripple began. A whisper that would travel from world to world. The humans still carry fire, and when they choose to share it, even the weak can rise. And so the story of the alien twins was born, not of defeat, but of victory, not of laughter, but of legend. And behind it all stood a man the galaxy once forgot, a human janitor, who believed when no one else would,